Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be using the Past Life Oracle Cards Guidebook with Dorian Virtue and Brian L. Weiss, MD, Past Life, for all 12 signs. So whether your sign is Sun, Moon, or Rising, you should pay attention to all three if you can. So for Aries, in the month of August 2012. Atlantis. We have Atlantis for Aries. Your lifetime in ancient Atlantis is affecting your current situation. You have soul memories of this idyllic civilization that offered every imaginable wonder. There's a longing for utopia that you unconsciously remember and which you know is possible in this world. Your soul also remembers the tragic ending of Atlantis, and you may have developed phobias about the ocean as a result. Although you love the sea, perhaps you prefer not to go swimming or sailing. You also recall how the majority of Atlanteans were peace-loving, with the exception of a few political leaders who misused crystal power to the detriment of all. So you may be extra sensitive to issues relating to political corruption in this lifetime. All right, Taurus. Ships. Your prior lifetimes spent on ships bring you this card today. As a former sailor, crew member, or ship passenger, you've had experiences at sea that have exerted an influence on the situation you're inquiring about. You probably already have a sense of the type of life you had aboard these ships. The question now becomes how your experiences have affected your present life. Negative reactions such as fears and phobias, or positive reactions such as longings to travel or a special affinity for the ocean, all may have arisen in prior lifetimes. Gemini. Spouse. You drew this card because your question relates to a marriage relationship in this life or a previous one. Perhaps your current spouse is someone with whom you've shared a romance or relationship before. If you're single at present, your future spouse is likely from your past lifetimes. In some cases, lovers reunite across the centuries and share an undying bond of true love. This is usually what is referred to as a soulmate. So drawing this card can signify that the person you are inquiring about is in fact that individual. Cancer. Father. This card indicates that your father in this life was with you in prior lifetimes. Any issues you've had with your father likely began long ago. Look at the cards that you draw prior to and after this card, as they will yield clues about the previous lives that you two have shared. He may not have been your father in those lives, though, as souls continue to reincarnate together in different roles. To break any negative patterns with your father's soul, be willing to release old anger or unforgiveness. This can be conscious or unconscious emotional energy stored in your psyche. Just your willingness to clear toxic relationship energy is enough to initiate the healing process. Remember that forgiveness doesn't mean that you approve of this person's actions. It simply means that you're no longer willing to carry around anger energy. By releasing the past, you subsequently heal your present and future. If you totally forgive your father and yourself, you no longer have to reincarnate with that soul unless you choose to. You retain only the lessons, growth, and love you shared. As an added benefit, the healing work that you do with your father helps all of your relationships you have with men. Leo. Health. Your relationship to health and healing is influenced by other lifetimes. You may be suffering from a physical problem that was inflicted upon you during your last life. Perhaps you reincarnated so quickly that you didn't have time to deal with the underlying issues. Your physical health has caused you hardship, yet it has also taught you a deeper level of compassion than you could have learned in a healthy body. You've also developed healing skills that can benefit others. In fact, you may already know that you're a healer. This knowledge was acquired in previous lifetimes when you performed healings for others. Back then, your earthly needs were likely taken care of by the community, so you may struggle with the idea of charging money for the healing work in this life. It's helpful to know that in this current Western society, everyone must charge for their work, including those who provide spiritually based services. Virgo. Forgiveness. The situation you're inquiring about will be healed or improved through your willingness to release old stored anger. You may not even be consciously aware that you've been holding on to resentment. Your anger may show up in subtle ways such as high blood pressure, addictions, insomnia, or moodiness. Wouldn't it feel great to have stable moods and more control over your health? Forgiveness isn't the same as saying the actions of others were justified or acceptable. Instead, forgiveness is a statement of self-empowerment. You choose to detoxify yourself of all your stored anger and other negative energies. After all, when you hold on to anger, it only hurts you and not the other person. To heal this situation, be aware that meditation and introspection are important practices that can help you. See that your anger is merely a transient feeling, like a dark cloud floating across the sky. Recognize that the source comes from a past life and let it go. Forgiveness is cathartic and profoundly healing. Free yourself from negative and harmful emotions. Libra. Transportation. This card signifies that you had intense experiences involving transportation in prior lifetimes. This is especially true if you presently have phobias related to airplanes, cars, and so on, and that these don't dissipate as a result of getting traditional counseling or hypnotherapy. In those cases, you likely suffered a traumatic past life event in some kind of vehicle which has caused you to lose trust in it. You may have been involved in the invention of a form of transportation or related technology, and that knowledge wants to serve you in this lifetime. This includes those who lived during the time of Atlantis, when transportation was fueled by solar and crystal power. Your life purpose may involve reawakening the knowledge of alternative modes of transportation, which could be environmentally beneficial to our world at this time. Scorpio. Galactic. Scorpio. This may be your first time on this planet. If so, you probably feel alien, as if you don't belong. Earthly customs such as marriage and parenthood aren't natural for you, so you may not even participate in them. You may also find most Earthlings to be very physically, psychologically, and emotionally violent. Your highly sensitive nature may be assaulted by such harsh energies. You just want everything to to get along with everyone and be as kind as possible. Your compassion helps diffuse the world's tensions, making the entire universe a more peaceful place. You may find earthly relationships confusing and feel more at home with technology or energy healing. If you find other star people, you'll discover the kinship you're seeking. Since those from other planets tend to be shy and socially awkward, you may need to go to where they gather, such as online message boards, computer courses, sci-fi conventions, scuba diving trips, and Reiki classes. Sagittarius. If you're just joining us, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. This is all 12 signs. Sagittarius, past lives. Male, female. Sagittarius. This card signifies that you've lived most of your lives as a different gender than the one you embody in this life. For example, you may now be living as a female while in your previous lifetimes you were male. In such cases, gender confusion and even health issues are often related to this change of gender over lifetimes. Because for most of your lifetimes you lived as another sex, you may not feel comfortable in your own skin. If this is your first lifetime as a woman, you may even develop gynecological issues or even experience infertility. If this is your first lifetime as a man, you may not relate to traditional masculine roles. This card asks that you have compassion for yourself and trust that your soul is doing the best it can. Remember that your soul is the result of all of your past experiences. Capricorn. Scribe or writer. Capricorn. This card reveals that you had a career as a writer or scribe in a past lifetime, which may be why you currently desire to write. You have a natural thinking style of someone who can organize thoughts into the written word. The fact that you had the discipline to sit down and write in that previous lifetime shows that you can exercise the same trait in this life. If you dream of being a published author, this card urges you to pursue that path. Do research on writing and publishing, and more important, write every day, which can be in the form of journaling, letters, creative writing, or nonfiction writing such as blogging or articles. If you have a strong enough desire to be a published author and you are willing to put forth the effort, you can attain the dream. Aquarius. Orphan. You drew this card because you had one or more past lives as an orphan. This is creating a current life abandonment fear for you. In those lives where you didn't have your mother or father's protection, love, and support, you developed great strength and inner reliance, which continues to help you in this life. However, you may have also developed survival skills that are double-edged. These coping mechanisms help you get by, but they can also blunt your heart and emotions. Most likely, this card is a reminder to acknowledge that your true father-mother is God. You're also reminded that you have a family of choice consisting of friends and other loved ones, including your pets. In spiritual truth, it's impossible to be an orphan. Your true heavenly parent is always with you. If you do tend to isolate yourself, you may benefit from seeking compassionate support from a 12-step Emotions Anonymous group or a qualified counselor. And finally, Pisces. Persecution and Inquisition. And thank you very much for writing. And I would highly recommend that you go to someone professionally and allow them to work on your specific chart. This is a reading for all 12 signs for sun, moon, or rising in the Western chart. And for Pisces, we have persecution and inquisition. You drew this card as validation of your suspicions. You were accused of witchcraft, being a heathen, or other crimes in the past. You suffered greatly as a result of the ensuing persecution, and the fear has carried forward into this life. In the past, your character and behaviors were examined publicly, and you were blamed for crop failures and deaths that had nothing to do with you. Your neighbors and the government said that you were casting spells, which was a capital offense. In reality, you were a very good-hearted person, as you may remain to this day, who had the ability to see into the future and to use energy for healing purposes. That lifetime has made you very sensitive to gossip and rumors. If someone falsely accuses you now, you become fearful and upset because that's the behavior that led to your painful death in previous lives. You may also be afraid to openly admit that you are still a talented healer and psychic. Unconsciously, you're keeping your spiritual skills a secret to avoid recreating the pain of the past. To heal from this, know that in this current lifetime, spiritual teachers and healers are revered instead of feared. You agreed to incarnate this at this time because your hard-won knowledge from previous lifetimes is needed in this world. And the fact that you're back on Earth shows that no one can harm you permanently or prevent you from pursuing your spiritual path. And with that, I sincerely wish you all the best in the entire world. I am certain that the future will be favorable just because you have caught this reading, and I hope that it has made you feel good to be here with me. It has been my pleasure to read these cards for you, and I sincerely hope and that you have enjoyed this reading. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing to my videos always. I sincerely appreciate it. Take care, and many blessings from Magickal.